When it comes to multiplayer gaming, the one company that pushed this envelope was always Nintendo. The NES and SNES both provided for some amazing two-player games, and then Nintendo revolutionized the gaming space with the Nintendo 64 and its four-player multiplayer avenue. It had since become the industry standard, and Nintendo continued to do this with its successor, the GameCube. And I'm not talking about online gaming, but rather good old-fashioned local multiplayer. Now, in today's episode, it isn't solely going to be what I think are essential multiplayer games for the GameCube, but rather, I brought on some truly amazing content creators to chime in on their favorite multiplayer GameCube games, what made them stand out, and why it's memorable to them. Naturally, these won't be every essential multiplayer game for the GameCube, as the console has an insane amount, but rather, a nice handful of them that will be discussed and recommended. So, sit back, relax, and let's dive into some essential GameCube multiplayer games. Okay, so to kick off the list of titles, I'm going to start off with one of my personal favorites that was a launch day title on the GameCube, and that one is the original Super Monkey Ball. If you follow the channel for some time now, you know that Super Monkey Ball is one of my favorites on the console, more so than its sequel, honestly. The plethora of modes here truly makes for an outstanding time that'll be immensely difficult to put down. However, not just in the single player aspect, but actually within its multiplayer. Super Monkey Ball provides players with 7 different game modes. The main game, which has you controlling the stage itself and tilting it while navigating the monkey to the goal, followed by 3 party games and 3 mini-games. You have Monkey Golf, Monkey Billiards, Monkey Bowling, Monkey Race, Monkey Fight, and my personal favorite, Monkey Target. All of the modes here provide for such a unique time and each feel fully fleshed out. Monkey Bowling alone is something I spent an entire summer competing against my brother in back in 2002, and it's still something we can easily play today. Monkey Target is also an absolutely addictive minigame that gets very competitive amongst family and friends to get the highest score amongst X number of rounds. And you can even acquire power-ups, which can easily change the tide of battle in a sense. Monkey Fight is an absolute blast in which 4 players can duke it out punching each other off stage, and Monkey Race honestly feels like its own racing game in and of itself. Monkey Billiards and Golf also provide for a fun time that's a bit slower paced, but fits the aesthetic. The reason this is such a standout multiplayer experience too is how easy it is for anyone to pick up the controller and play. Seriously, when it comes to essential multiplayer games on the GameCube, Super Monkey Ball easily fits the bill.
Multiplayer games on the GameCube, players were literally spoiled for choice. With heavy hitters like Mario Kart and Smash Bros. Melee, there was plenty to get stuck into. But for me personally, F-Zero GX has to be my favourite co-op experience available on a console. The fast, gut-wrenching gameplay of the single-player Grand Prix translates very nicely to the 4-player setup, albeit with a few cutbacks such as a slower frame rate that drops it from 60 to 30. And of course, this was a necessary cut in order to have 4 separate screens on display at once, but thankfully, the amount of content more than makes up for this shortcoming. Players get to choose from all of the characters and ships they can use in other modes, as well as any of the tracks you've raced on or unlocked throughout your time in Grand Prix. Once out on the track, the same tactics hold true as in single player, where you're tasked with hitting as many boost markers littered across the environment in order to maintain your speed as you fight for first place. Making matters more competitive is the energy system that each player has to contend with. If you take a hit from another driver or end up slamming into barriers, your power will slowly deplete until you can reach the recharge area at the start of each lap, and because of this, a keen knowledge of each track is essential to your chances of winning. Now, one aspect of the multiplayer mode that unfortunately never made the cut during development was the LAN option that would have allowed you to link up to 4 GameCubes together through the network adapter so each player could have their own screen. It's a real shame this feature never made it into the final release, as I believe it would have elevated the multiplayer experience even further. Regardless of this missing feature, F-Zero GX is still a great option when it comes to choosing a game to play with friends on the GameCube, so if you can find it for a good price, it's a solid game that deserves to be in every GameCube owner's collection.
When you think of GameCube multiplayer, there's a few games that really stand out. These were the days before online player really took off, meaning the best place to battle your friends was right on the couch. What the f***? So what's my must-play multiplayer game for GameCube? Universal Studios Theme Park Adventure. Just kidding. It is none other than Mario Party 4. Better known as Friendship Ruiner Party 4000, Mario Party 4 provided endless entertainment between you and your 3 friends. If you have any friends, that is. Guess I'm riding solo today. Spend hours navigating the wacky and iconic worlds while trying to figure out how to screw each other over. Mario Party 4 was not the only Mario Party on GameCube. In fact, Mario Party 5, 6, and 7 came out all for the GameCube. They even included this nifty microphone for the last 2. But Mario Party 4 is my personal favorite. Mom, you're up. Alright. Some of the best mini-games in the franchise were introduced in this game. To name a few, you've got Dungeon Duos, Bowser's Bigger Blast, Hide and Go Boom, Cliffhangers, Mr. Blizzard's Brigade, man, say that 5 times fast, Slime Time, Mario Medley, but my all-time favorite, and the one I think everyone remembers the most, is Book Squirm. The object of this minigame is simple. Run around and fit in the holes of the giant pages that are falling down. These pages drop faster and faster until only one player remains. You'd think it'd be easy, but let me tell you. Who am I? Why does that book have a hole in it? Oh boy.
Hello, this is Camp Xbox, and I'd like to thank GameCube Galaxy for inviting me here. When GameCube Galaxy asked me to name an essential multiplayer game on the GameCube, one game immediately came to mind: Mario Kart Double Dash. Back in the day, if you had a GameCube and you were throwing a party, if you had Smash and Double Dash, you were guaranteed a great time. Double Dash was a unique game in the Mario Kart series, allowing you to choose 2 racers instead of 1. While it may seem like an odd mechanic at first, this uniqueness makes Double Dash stand out from other entries in the series. Playing this game in multiplayer mode recently reminded me how much fun it is to play with 2 racers. With 2 racers, you can hold 2 power-ups at once, and you have to swap around to use whichever power-up they have handy. This allows you to carry certain power-ups for later use or swap to an empty hand when picking up the next power-up. Using 2 racers in multiplayer adds an extra edge of competition to the game. You know those times when you're in first and your friends just keep throwing power-ups at you and you feel destroyed? In Double Dash, this experience is doubled. But to be honest, those moments make the game more competitive, which makes it even more fun. And to throw on to that, all of the tracks look great and have some amazing music. The game excels in its regular racing mode, but it shines even more in its additional game modes. The classic arena mode returns, where you can hit enemies on top of a Nintendo GameCube, which is awesome. However, the game stands out to me in its co-op mode. Although co-op racing may seem odd, it works incredibly well here. One player races while the other controls power-ups. The backseat passenger can also use a punch move that moves you. You can use it to sidestep obstacles or make tighter turns while the driver drifts. This cooperative racing experience is amazing to play. Working together on challenging races produced so many laughs and a great time. It's an amazing multiplayer mode in an amazing multiplayer game.
Hey GameCube Galaxy, this is Devin from Chroncube. Now the multiplayer game that I'm going to choose is one that we might not think about that much when we think of multiplayer stuff on the GameCube, even though part of the title of the game was put in because of the multiplayer content added to this version, and that's Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. The battle part was added on compared to the Dreamcast original because of all the additional multiplayer content that Sonic Team put into this game. Now that meant extra levels, extra characters, and a much better frame rate and performance. In fact, I had never played the Dreamcast original until I was just about an adult, so I was pretty surprised at how different these 2 games' multiplayer versions were. This was a game that I played a lot with my siblings growing up, and with anyone else that came over to play GameCube, in part because it was pretty simple to pick up and play, particularly Sonic and Shadow racing levels. These were almost simpler than Mario Kart. You just book it to the end of the stage as fast as you can. And of course, being a kid, it's cool as hell to be able to play as Metal Sonic in a Sonic game. That character is just awesome, even if it is just kind of a reskin of Sonic. So anyway, Sonic Adventure 2 Battle on GameCube, that's a multiplayer game that you should not overlook. It can really be a blast to play.
It's David, the lame dad. Thanks, Marcello, for having me on. Now, The GameCube has no shortages of awesome, fantastic multiplayer games, but one of the games that we spent a lot of time with is UFC Throwdown. Now, UFC Throwdown is one of the very first UFC games, and let me be honest here, it's not going to win many awards if you're playing just solo, but where this game shines is playing multiplayer. Hanging out with your friends, just trying to smash each other, was always a great time. Now, the game mechanics are kind of difficult, especially when you get on the ground, but again, when you're playing with friends, you're just going to stand up and try to knock each other out anyway. And this was back in the early days of the UFC, and there's so many classic fighters here. You have Tito Ortiz, Chuck Liddell, Kevin Randleman, Matt Hughes, Matt Serra, so many fantastic original fighters, and it's so awesome to use them in a fight. But it was always a good time to hang out, have a few drinks, and hang out with buddies, and just try to knock each other out and pass the controller around. Now, it's not the best fighting game on the GameCube, but it's absolutely a fantastic time if you can get some buddies to play with you. Alright, Marcello, thanks for having me. Back to you.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Jay here from SquarePegs, and when Marcello asked me to take part in this video, he said, Jay, I need you to pick your #1 essential must-play multiplayer title on the GameCube. I knew exactly which one I was going to go with, because to me, when there's trouble, I know who to call, and that is the Teen Titans. I know I overlooked it when it released. It wasn't something that I was interested in playing, despite the fact that I love the cartoon, and it took me decades, legitimate decades, to ever pick it up. I saw it on a Metal Jesus Rocks video where he talked about hidden gems on the cube, and he mentioned Teen Titans. I was like, no way that game's good. But I found it for a Coke and a song at a local shop. I picked it up, and I am telling you, it is one of the best multiplayer games on the console. You can play as Raven, Beast Boy, Cyborg, Starfire, or Robin. It is a game where it is a very simple squad-based beat-em-up. You're going through levels. It's a lot of fun. The visuals are great. All the voice actors from the television series are there, which is super cool. The combat is fun, if a bit repetitive, but it's not bad. It is still a spectacular game, and this is one that I absolutely love. If you're looking for a really fun 4-player game, look no further than Teen Titans.
Scorpio Caesar here, and I want to thank Marcello for allowing me to be part of today's collaboration where we talk about some of the most iconic multiplayer experiences on the Nintendo GameCube. And personally, my favorite, you can't talk about the GameCube and multiplayer without talking about Melee. Hold on, I'm not talking about that Melee, I'm talking about Godzilla Destroy All Monsters Melee. You see, at the time, as a young Godzilla fan, this game came out of nowhere and absolutely blew my mind. To be able to control all these iconic monsters such as Gigan, Anguirus, Mechagodzilla, King Ghidorah, Rodan. You got 2 different versions of Godzilla in this game as well. It was an absolute mind-blowing experience, and not only that, it's got multiplayer. You can play versus one-on-one. You could do a triple threat, and you can even do a fatal 4-way in these arenas based on real-life cities like Seattle. You got Osaka, you got Tokyo. It is amazing. And to be able to do this with up to 4 players was a dream come true. And not only that, there's even a mode where you can just focus on destroying the cities, and whoever racks up the most points is the king of the monsters, if you know what I'm saying. So that is why Godzilla Destroy All Monsters Melee is definitely worth checking out if you haven't. And even if you're not a big fan of Godzilla like I am, even though you probably should be, it's still an amazing game and worth experiencing on the GameCube, especially for its multiplayer experience. And with that being said, I want to thank Marcello once again for allowing me to be a part of today's collaboration. It's an honor to be a part of the GameCube Galaxy and being able to share it with a bunch of other amazing content creators. So let's go check out some of their recommendations, because you already know mine.
What's up, GameCube Galaxy Nation? You got TigerChainsaw here, and I was asked by Marcello to pick the quintessential multiplayer game on the GameCube. And my choice, well, I don't mean to brag, but this is the premier multiplayer game that everyone needs to experience on the GameCube. That game is gonna be Super Smash Bros. Melee. So back in 6th grade, I had a birthday party, and one of my friends brought the GameCube, but he also brought Super Smash Bros. Melee. And let me tell you, that became one epic birthday party. This is the ultimate multiplayer game on the GameCube because it has almost every famous Nintendo character, and whatever your favorite fighting style is, there's going to be a character in Super Smash Bros. For me, I was a Pokemon kid through and through, so I always chose Pikachu, and let me tell you, I wrecked everybody. See, Pikachu comes off as cute, but he's actually pretty powerful, and my special move that I used over and over was I would get below someone, and I'd hit the down and B button and just blast them with a Thunderbolt. I've got so many good memories of Super Smash Bros. Melee. I got this game a couple years ago in my own personal collection, and it just brought back a ton of really fun, exciting multiplayer. Still to this day, it's a game that you can just break out with your friends. Almost everybody has played this game, and if they haven't, it's really easy to pick up and play. And again, their favorite character is going to be in this game. So for me, it's pretty obvious. With the huge cast of Nintendo characters, the fact that this game is built for multiplayer fun, and all the hidden Easter eggs inside this game make this the quintessential GameCube multiplayer game. Thanks for having me on, Marcello. Anytime that you want to smash, I'm down.
Oh hi! Saturn Steve here, local gamer and sports enthusiast. Have you ever thought, gee, I sure do love video games, but not so much with the sports. Or maybe you're a jock and you think video games are for nerds. Well, thanks to an elegant solution from our good friends at Nintendo, you're both right. And there's a wonderful multiplayer game for y'all to take a whack at. Here we go! Mario Golf. I love this era of Nintendo. They were going all in on character personas, and it shows. The way they masterfully infused all the personality of the world's favorite plumber into a golf game for everyone? What? You see it in the winning animations, the losing animations, the stages, the music. The game is absolutely bursting at the seams with Nintendo charm. Mario Golf is also so easy to pick up and play. All you have to do is time your button press. If you're a golfer, you can even add finesse to your chip shot with top spin and backspin. But Saturn Steve, golf is lame.
So I have a game called Earthbound.
I hear ya. But folks, this is Mario Kart on a golf course. And the same way you don't have to like racing games to love Mario Kart, you don't need to like sports or enjoy golf. Mario Golf Toadstool Tour is the sports game for people who don't like sports games, but an absolute blast for everyone. So Retro Pals, do yourselves a favor and get out there in the wild and get yourself a copy of Mario Golf Toadstool Tour today and have yourself a ball.
That I forgot I'd do this. Got the good old Buc-ee's hat on. God, their barbecue rib sandwiches are so good. Oh, GameCube Galaxy. We got a review. I was asked by GameCube Galaxy to give you one of my favorite multiplayers on the GameCube, and I have to go with Time Splitters 2, and here's why. Let's not split hairs on this one. The very successful follow-up to the original Time Splitters, Time Splitters 2 on the GameCube, was one of my favorites. Not only did it have a very robust multiplayer experience, but you also could make and create your own maps. Add in the feature of playing 4 players via local play. There was also a co-op mode through the entire story where you and a friend can go shoot guys with awesome guns like the single shot pew pew, lots of bullets pew pew, big explosion pew pew, body armor, health bars, and everything else you can think of that started the first person genre. But remember, this came out in 2002, so this was literally one of the best games during its era when it came to the multiplayer first person experience. This game played on a lot of tropes of action movies and sci-fi movies of the past, such as deep space missions, spaghetti westerns, and some of my favorites is military style shooters and bunkers and barracks, as well as open fields. This game though just came hard. In a nutshell, your story is basically about time splitters, a monster race that is hell-bent on coming into various parts of our timeline and destroying our world for their own benefits. But we say, nah, we've got heroes of our own, which spans an entire gap of character models, which, to be fair, have a lot of character and personality in them. Not only are the proportions absolutely goofy, but you also have the classic parody of your Bond babes, where most of the female characters had many assets. Controls, gameplay, fun character models and environments, and the ability to play multiplayer and create your own maps made this one of GameCube's perfect multiplayer experiences.
Whoa, this isn't my game room. I'm actually in Marcello from GameCube Galaxy's game room. Today, I am picking a game that is very special to me, and I'm actually going to pull it out of Marcello's incredible GameCube collection here. The multiplayer game that I'm talking about today is actually a up to 4-player cooperative game called Hunter the Reckoning. Now this game is very special to me because I have memories of playing this game with my deceased brother Jason. As I said, Hunter the Reckoning is a 4-player cooperative game where you choose as one of 4 characters, each character having their own starting weapons. In this game, you are going to be fighting demons, vampires, gargoyles, zombies, giant freakish teddy bear monsters. You're going to be fighting a large variety of enemies, and they're going to be swarming you at times, forcing you to utilize your melee weapon, your gun, as well as extra guns you can pick up that have limited ammo capacity. As you play through the game, you're going to be getting experience points. When you reach a certain threshold of experience points, your stats will level up. In addition to that, as you play through the game, you're going to unlock new special abilities for your characters that you can use. Each of the 4 characters have a distinct feel with distinct weapons, so they all feel a little bit different, which adds a little bit of replayability to Hunter the Reckoning. And I'm not going to sit here and say this is the deepest, most intricate game you're ever going to play. It's really not. It's very simplistic fun. It's the kind of game that you can sit down with people and just kind of turn your brain off and play and have a good time. It's not very difficult, you know, it's not a terribly hard game, but it is a lot of fun. It's pretty dark at times too. I have to say, it's a pretty dark game. Definitely not for kids, rated M for mature. However, it is a game that I cannot recommend enough. Super fun. Not so much fun playing single player, but if you can get at least one other person, I can guarantee you're going to have a lot of fun with this game, especially if you're a fan of these kind of isometric sort of dungeon crawling games. Hunter the Reckoning on the GameCube. That is my choice for an essential multiplayer game that you should have in your collection. Back to you, Marcello.
So we've seen a variety of fantastic multiplayer games for the GameCube, but I want to wrap up the video with one more pick of mine, and that one's going to be Beach Spikers. Beach Spikers is an arcade-style volleyball game that I recall getting on a whim for $10 brand new back in the day, and provided for some of the best and most hilarious multiplayer moments of my childhood. Choosing a nationality team of your choice or your custom character creations, you partake in 2-on-2 matches that are fast-paced and frenetic, and very easy to pick up and play thanks to its 2-button control scheme. You can have up to 4 players taking part, each controlling a single character, and working together in teams of 2 provides for an awesome time, or a frustrating one depending on who your partner is. Aside from the traditional matches you can have, there are mini games as well, like Beach Flags, where you need to rapidly button press to sprint and another button to dive and grab the flag on the ground, while another one called Beach Countdown is essentially a game of hot potato, and each time you hit the ball, the counter goes down, and each move type has a different value, and once it hits 0, boom, you're out of there. There's even Beach PK, which is a penalty kick version of the sport, where one spikes the ball and the other one has to try to block it. Whether you're playing the core game or mini games in the multiplayer, I can never recommend this one enough, and is honestly not only a hidden gem, but one of the best multiplayer experiences on the GameCube. As you saw, the GameCube was no slouch when it came to multiplayer experiences, and while many stuck with the common favorites, there are so many others to explore. While the picks here are far from scratching the surface of multiplayer essentials on the console, these were the ones we all felt should be experienced. I want to take a moment to thank ThatVideoGameShow, Nostalgia Road, Chroncube, Camp Xbox, SquarePegs, Lame Dad, Scorpio Caesar, TigerChainsaw, Saturn Steve, PacmanCase, and RetroWolf88 for taking the time to provide their picks for this video, and I encourage you all to check out their channels and subscribe for their phenomenal content additionally. What are some of your favorite multiplayer games on the GameCube? Any here that interested you? Sound off in the comments below, as we'd love to hear your thoughts. I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll catch you all in the next episode.